Hello everyone, welcome to the Dog Pen, your place for Bulldogs fans to talk all things Canterbury-Bankstown. Today's topic is what is going on at the Bulldogs this season. 14th on the ladder, 10 points out of 12 games, only 4 wins. There is so many issues at the Bulldogs at the moment, so much to dissect, so much I want to get into in this video. I've got a list of things that I think are issued this season, and we're going to dissect why these things are happening and how things can go for the rest of the season to make a push for the finals, because I think that is still on the table if things change quickly. So, first point I want to get into is our attack. I mean, I think there's a multitude of things that go into this, but I think one of the biggest problems is our attack. And I think most of my points half come into this point, so this is sort of the main point. But our attack is been terrible this season. I mean, if I went over all of our results, we've only scored 30 plus points twice this season against the Storm and Panthers, which are two of our best wins this season. We only scored 15 against the Dragons and had to go to overtime against the Dragons, who went 11-1, as you can see to the left of me. We just don't score enough points, and we concede too many as well. Like last season, our defense was good, so our attack was never really that good that last season. Our season was more built on defensive stability, but we had the structure for that, and we didn't concede many points. Now that our defense isn't as good, our attack is really being exposed. It is terrible. It is bloody terrible. I mean, I think it's one of the biggest reasons we're 14th right now. And I want to dissect why it's so bad. I'm going to start going over some of the other points because I think they all sort of fall into this. First thing, Adam O'Brien. I mean, I'm not saying it's his fault directly, but is it a coincidence that ever since he came in this season we've been terrible? Look, I don't think our attack was ever that good last season, but this season it's on a whole nother level of bad. I mean, 14 points in 80 minutes against Dragons. Dragons. They've got a minus 221 point difference. We only beat them by 1 point and had to go to overtime. 14 points we scored against Dragons. I'll never ever get over that, and that gets worse and worse every week as well. Unbelievable. Yeah, I think I don't necessarily think it's all Adam O'Brien's fault. I see a lot of people say that. I don't agree with that because people act like our attack was great last season. I don't necessarily think it was. I think our season was more built on stability at the back and good defense, which we did, and we had solid defense. This season we haven't had that, and our attack has been even more exposed, and people just want to put it all on Adam Bryan. I don't think that's I don't think that is the reason why attack is so bad. I think it's part of the problem. I mean, look at the Knights, for example. Last season, one of the worst teams in the comp, or they were the worst team in the comp factually, and one of the worst teams attacking wise. And look at them this season. And then look at where we are. That's what everyone says. I don't necessarily agree with that because, again, our attack wasn't all that last season anyway. So I don't necessarily agree with that. But it is a good point in a way. Adam O'Brien leaves Knights. Knights go like this. Adam O'Brien joins Bulldogs and we go like this. So it is a fair point. I don't necessarily agree with it. But it is a fair point. Next thing I want to talk about is Crichton has not been at his best, and he's never really been. He's more of a defensive player than he is offensive. Everyone knows that he's one of the best defensive centres in the comp. But I've always liked his attacking contributions. I think he's a bit underrated for his attacking contributions. I think he makes plenty of contributions attacking wise, especially last season. And he just hasn't. Even defensively this season, he hasn't been all that. I don't think Crichton's. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's fallen off or any stupid statement like that. I don't think there's anything more than just the rest of our team not performing. But at the same time, when the rest of the team isn't performing, you want your captain to step up. So it's not Crichton's fault, but he does. What chance do we have of getting anywhere this season if our captain and our best player ain't performing? Um, so that's just a mini point I wanted to bring in. It's not a huge point. It's just a little point I wanted to bring in. I just think I'm not saying it's his fault by any means at all, but I think we need him to step up a little bit more if we got any chance of getting out of this. Obviously, he's got that injury. He's named in the team list for this weekend. I don't think he's going to play. I hope he doesn't play. I think it's best if he just rests his shoulder, rests the injury. So yeah, I hope he doesn't play. I have a feeling he might, but I hope not. Um, we'll save this last point for last. The next point I'll get into is injuries. I mean, kind of follows on from Crichton. We've had a lot of injuries in our forward pack. Too many to name. I'd forget too many if I tried to name them all. So yeah, that obviously is a problem. We've had a lot of injuries. We had obviously Connor Tracy out, now Crichton's out. We've had a lot of injuries already this season, so that is a point worth mentioning. You can't just skip over and say it hasn't happened. It has happened. It is something that is there. We've got our injury problems this season, and it is a factor into why we're performing so bad. But I don't think it's not like that's the reason we're doing so bad. I don't agree with that. If anyone's saying that, I don't agree with that. As I said, I think it's a multitude of different things that's going on. These are sort of the main points that I picked out. There's more things that go into it probably, but yeah, it definitely has a factor to play in this, in the way we're performing. But I think what a lot of people will say is the biggest problem. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think is Bulldog's biggest problem? What most people will say is Galvin. Galvin. It's always about Galvin. I don't completely disagree in the sense that he's our 7. We're relying on him to make all of our plays, most of our plays. He's taken most of the kicking away from Burton, one of the best kickers in the league, and he's not performing. He's only 20 years old, or whatever it is, maybe 21 now, whatever he is. I think he's 20. So he's still got room to grow, but I think part of his downfall is, one, comes from the media last season with the pressure that was put on him when he joined from Tigers, and 2, I think Cameron Ciraldo is putting too much pressure on him in a way, in sense of he's the main playmaker in the team. I think it should be Burton. I think it should be split between, in terms of making plays between the two, and Burton should be doing most of our kicking. I've said that for a while. I've always thought that. I just think it's not necessarily Galvin's fault with how he's playing. I think you're going to have that as a young kid, but I think he's been asked to do too much at too early in his career. So yes, I think Galvin is a problem, but not in the sense that people say, "Oh, Galvin shit, drop him, get rid of him, blah blah blah." I think it actually stems from Ciraldo putting too much not trust, that's the wrong word, putting too much, making the play revolve around him when I think it should revolve around Burton more. That's my take. I think Galvin is a problem, not in the sense that he directly is a problem, but that he's being used wrongly. That's where I stand on Galvin. So, you got some fans that really love Galvin and will back him to the end, and will call you negative if you say anything bad about him. As I said, he's not having a good season, and the one game he did have one of the games he played well was Panthers. That was his best performance, and we scored 30 points. Storm, he did alright in that game. We scored 30 points. When he plays well, we do well. We need Galvin performing. We do need Galvin performing. Because if your seven's not performing, then how is the rest of the team meant to perform? So you need... Also look at the Storm. Burton had a bit more of the ball in that game. I think he was making a few more runs. He had a little bit more. Not enough, but he had a little bit more. I think Serraldo needs to make the change. I'm not saying drop Galvin. Nothing like that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm not saying that you need to do that. But what you need to do is stop making everything go through him. I think that's what's best to save our season. Because if we don't do that, I just don't think anything is going to change. I think we're going to lose more than we will win. And by the time we might win a few games in a row, but by that time it's probably going to be too late. We need things to change quickly. We're on 10 points right now. We're 14th. I don't know how many points we are behind 8th at the moment. We're 6 points off 8th. We're 6 points off 8th. Obviously, we've got a game to play tomorrow. Not tomorrow, 2 days time, my time. Against Eels. If we win that puts us in 12. So that's 4 points off 8th, which isn't too bad. But we've got to start getting some wins together. We can't just... If we beat Eels on Monday, we can't just go and lose the next week. We need to get a couple wins together in a row. Then maybe we can start talking about this season, start pushing for finals. At the moment, I think we're... At the moment, except for the Dragons, we are the worst team in the league at the moment. Call me negative, I don't care. I'm just being completely honest. We are the worst team in the league at the moment. Obviously, no, not on the ladder, but we had a half decent start. If you look at the last, say, 8 weeks, I think we are the worst team. We've showed glimpses against Storm, against Panthers, even against Tigers for that matter. But we're not good enough consistently, and we have played some terrible footy over the last few weeks this season. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Things need to change quickly. I think, what is our biggest problem? I don't think there necessarily is a biggest problem. Our biggest problem is Galvin, but not in the sense that it's his fault. I think it's more Serraldo's fault, trying to make everything go through him. So, look, let me know in the comments, what do you think? What do you think our biggest problem is? Do you think we can turn this season around? Do you think we can end up making top 8? I know a lot of fans still think we will and are confident, think it's ridiculous to say that we won't. I mean, if it's ridiculous to say that we're not going to make top 8 when we are where we are and we've played how we've played over the last 8 weeks, then fine. I guess that. If that's your opinion, fine. But you can't say that Bulldogs fans are negative if you don't think we're going to make top 8. I'm sorry. Look at where we are. I think we're closer to the wooden spoon than we are top 8, in my opinion. And I'm not saying we are going to get the wooden spoon. Absolutely not. Not with the Dragons and the Titans in this competition. But we should not be where we are right now. We absolutely should not be. We shouldn't even be talking about having to make a push for top 8. We should be in the top 4. We're 10 places lower than we should be. So, I don't know. Let me know in the comments what's your opinions. Let me know if you disagree. Thank you for watching. Until the next one, I'm out. Peace.